Hello, it's your man Dominic talking sports with my main man Anthony here. Getting
What up,
right
bro?
to you. This video's coming out live, hot and fresh. Like I said, we building up. We building to a point where we're gonna have a podcast and everything. We'll also be going live at times when we are filming. We're just starting to give you guys a segue to see our information and see what we're talking about in terms of what's going on in the sports world, especially with the NBA right now. So, Anthony, we all heard about Damian Lillard. What's going on? What's your thoughts on it after now that the dust is kind of settled?
Well, my thoughts on that is, after years and years and years of elimination, Damian Lillard is a very special player. He's very talented and he is explosive. And he committed his heart and soul and his skills to this organization. And yet they keep failing to get him enough weapons that he needs to be able to win a championship. So I say with this situation, if they're not gonna get him the weapons that he need to win a championship to avoid elimination in the playoffs, he should leave. And if I was Damian Lillard, I would reach out to the organization and let them know, hey, I need some help, man. Either you guys give me some help or I'm out because I can go elsewhere where I have weapons around me that'll help me win a championship. That's my analysis on that situation.
To be honest, if I'm an organization, I got a player 30, turning 31,
Mm,
and he's at a point where this is his prime. This is the end of his prime. You know, we are now entering the end of his prime. We're not entering his prime. We're entering the phase where he's got his last couple of years where he's really in his
mm,
prime, where he really can carry a whole workload. So if I'm
mm,
that organization, do I really think I could win if with just him and looking at the pieces? Because you're only really gonna get better through the draft. You might get lucky and get a couple free agencies that just want to come and play with Damian Lillard, but at the end of the day, you're not going to move the needle. You're not going to be a championship team. So at that point in time, if the player's like, I'm frustrated. Okay, you're frustrated. We're frustrated with you. We did it, and this is where ownership needs to come in. Ownership needs to come in and say, hey, we didn't do what we were supposed to do with Damian Lillard. Let's improve. Let's get better. If I was ownership,
mm.
I would let that management go because you didn't get the job done. Okay,
Exactly.
he made too many
Exactly.
mistakes throughout the course of his tenure, and you move on from him. You get pieces and players, and you do it the Danny Ainge, Sam Presti way, which is, hey, give me multiple starters and
Mm,
guys that can contribute on playoff teams. They'll come in, they'll have a good season, and you gave me a couple picks, and then I'll parlay those players you traded me, those starters that playoff teams feel like that's the last missing piece to their
mm,
team, and I'll send those guys off. So I gain a few picks from my first trade with Damian Lillard, and then the guys that I got from him, I'm not keeping them either. I just wanted them because they were solid, legit starter players that other teams would have interest to get more picks. Now I parlay those picks. I also start to begin to trade down that line of all the picks that were
oh no.
offered. So I start to give CJ McCollum out there. I'm going to trade CJ McCollum to another team. I'm going it's just at this point you're really looking at a team that Robert Covington's of the world, all those guys that's on that team because it is a decent team, and that's why I said I didn't understand why they went for Norman Powell when you had Gary Trent Jr. He was younger. You were gonna have to pay him, but he made more sense long term. So you gave up your long term goals for a team that's not really ready to really compete for a championship. They're a real good, solid playoff team, but they're not a championship team. They're just not.
They're
They're
not.
not.
They're not.
I don't see a lot of moves. Yeah, you just fire, you split plays with Terry Scott, but Jason Kidd doesn't want that job. And the real reason why Jason Kidd doesn't want that job is because A, he doesn't know what's going on with Damian Lillard, and
Mm,
B, he don't think that team can win. He's like, listen, I just been a part of a team that won a championship, and I've played as a player as a team that won a championship, and I honestly don't have faith within your organization that you're gonna put a championship contending team. Because it's not always about winning a championship; it's about being that last four teams that hey, we're trying to win a championship, we're getting there, we're getting close, and
mm.
we're just as close. We're
Right.
just as close. So
Right.
that was my thoughts on the Jason Kidd thing. I just felt like he thought they're not going to win a championship.
They're
I don't
not.
believe in the management situation. Then also is
Yeah,
Damian Lillard picking me as the coach. So what happens if me and him would have a disagreement? He don't want me as the coach no more. That's too much
exactly.
power to a player. I don't want that
Right,
situation. So let
right,
me just take myself out.
right.
And that's perfectly understandable. I think if you're a star player in Damian Lillard, I think the writing's on the wall, and you will be talked about as a player that never won a championship. So why not make your move from Portland to a team that you going to that team you can win a championship? Now, obviously, you have to ask your way out, and I think if I'm ownership, just like Sam Presti did with Paul George. Paul George goes in the office and says, "Hey, I want out." Sam Presti didn't fight it. He said, "Yeah, it makes sense. You're older. Russell Westbrook's older. We know what our team is. This is our max. There's not much I can do. Let
Mm.
me rebuild it, restart, refresh.
Fresh, yeah.
Get things going. That's what he did with Paul George a few years ago. Now look at OKC. Now OKC is a team that is legit. It's a legit
Mm,
team. A team that's on the up and up. It's a team that has some nice, good young stars coming up, and it has some nice, good pieces, and a few right moves by Sam Presti, a few good drafts. They're back in playoff mode and trying to maybe win a championship. That's all it's
mm,
all about at the end of the day. I mean, this is the same guy that drafted Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook and had James Harden, and ownership messed their own self up with the championship because they should have paid James
right,
Harden.
right, right.
So yeah, and
So,
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, I got a question. It's about Portland, about because another thing about Portland too, clearly the draft picks that they've been drafting for years hasn't been enough to help them. So my question to you is, should they get rid of the scouts as well that went out to find the talent?
I think if you change front office, it should be going at the top. Because I think right now you put the front office at the hot spot. You put them on. You put them in a mold where it's like, okay, you're on the hot seat. You know, and you sit here and you say, okay, we got you here. What's going on with your team? What's going on with this situation? Because right now, this is what you've done. These are the moves you made,
Mhm.
and we have not gotten better. We've always just been a regular playoff team. We made it to the Western Conference once, and we came back the following year, and it just wasn't the same. And I tell people, it's injury sometimes. Sometimes the conference wasn't as good. I think that year that they made it to the Western Conference, it wasn't that great. You know, so now it's about getting out here and doing what you got to do, take care of business, and it's about improving your situation. And I think if you're going in there, you have to start to become a sleeper draft type of organization, which is how do we get to find the right picks at the right places, and then also you have to look at who's handling your player development, because sometimes it's not
Mhm.
the scouting. The guy. Sometimes guys have talent. They go somewhere
The
else and
training
they
staff,
pan out.
the
Yeah,
training
so
staff.
sometimes,
Yeah.
yes, play training staff, player development. It's your whole
Mhm.
organization. How are we getting Are we getting the maximum we can get for guys at their value once they're drafted in, and then are we putting them in positions to succeed? That's all done with coaching. That's all done with player development. That starts with scouting. So that's all done on their own end. To say, okay, what is this guy can be? What is the top that he can be? What is his player comp? What is the maximum? What is the ceiling? What is the ceiling and what's the floor? So it's just about having that understanding and saying, okay, this is who he is. So he's probably gonna have to come in here and he's probably gonna have to be dedicated to his work. Did you do your homework? Did you do the research? And a lot of these organizations they do. It's just this is also the top league in the world. So it's not as easy to come out and pan out and be the top guy ever. Because I mean, look at somebody like Julius Randle. His first couple years in LA he was okay. In New Orleans, he was all right. And then he
Mhm.
goes to a team like New York Knicks, and
He's a man
he's
now.
great. He's the
Yep.
man,
Yep.
because development, a player
Yep.
development, also a better system that fits for the player. The player
Mhm.
gets to a point where they're comfortable, their skills are put more up on the
Mhm.
up and up. So
Yep.
that changes things.
I
You know?
think in LA when he first got drafted to LA, I don't think it had his unsuccess in on the Lakers. I don't think it had nothing to do with his talent. I think I would put it on the training staff. The way they was developing him is what messed him up. But
Mm-hmm.
Julius Randle, I remember watching him back in college, man, and he was explosive. And the Knicks, he just had to find, he just had to go to a better organization that have the ability to develop him the way he needs to be developed.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
he's looking good on the Knicks right now, man. He's had a phenomenal season, even
but he
though
did not. But he did
he
not
didn't
look good
show
in
up
the
in the
playoffs.
playoffs, but he had a good. It's a good start. The Knicks is a good start for him.
Oh
It's a
yeah.
good
I
start for
mean, now if
him. Yeah,
you're the New York Knicks, you have to reevaluate that. Is Julius Randle a guy worth
the
keeping,
guy.
and how much? That's the question.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
I think as a team, if you have to have a number and say, okay, this is what
Mm,
the third star on the team should get paid, and if Julius Randle
mm,
wants more than that, okay,
mm.
time to trade Julius Randle. Let's go
But
get
then,
something.
yeah, but then also, what if Lillard says, "I'm done with Portland. I'm ready to move on to another organization," because the Knicks is in the talks for that. So if he goes to the Knicks, who gets paid, him or Randall?
Well, Damian Lillard's already paid, so you don't have to worry
Right.
about that. But
Yeah.
Julius Randle, on the other hand, you have to have the
Yeah.
thing with these teams is sometimes they overpay for certain players.
Mm,
Especially guys like they like, and that's what gets your organization in trouble because you sign a guy, you sign him for too much. I mean, that's kind of what happened with the Celtics. We
mm,
signed a guy, Kemba Walker. He comes in, he's known for what he was known for, but he wasn't proven in the time that we needed him to be proven in. So he got paid as if he was proven in the playoffs, but he wasn't proven in the playoffs. He was a guy that you got buckets during the regular season. And he only had 11 playoff games. So why are you giving him a max deal? Yeah, he's
mm,
been an all star, but to be an all star, sometimes it's just having a game about having a game that's awesome and fantastic, and then you're just good to go. Like, no, it's about like if you're an all star, it's because you just got numbers, okay,
right.
and people like you, so they voted for you.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Being a true legit dude, being legit is like, okay, this guy gets 20 something in the regular season. He's gonna get 20 something in the playoffs. You can chalk that in.
Right.
Like Kyrie
Right.
Irving is legit. He's legit.
He is.
He
He's
gets
legit.
numbers. He can win games. He's win
Mm,
series. He's won. He's hit the biggest shot
mm.
in the finals in NBA history. One of the biggest shots in NBA history.
Yup.
LeBron James is legit. Kobe Bryant was legit. Like these are dudes
Mm,
that you said, okay, whatever they do in the playoffs and the regular season, they'll do exactly there. You know,
mm,
and then Kimba comes in. He starts off pretty good. He's playing with other guys that are better, so he's playing with a better team. So obviously he's winning games. But the thing about it is now his body's starting to get the wear and tear from all
the
the
wear
stuff
and
he had to
tear.
do in the
Yup.
regular season. From
Yup.
previous seasons is now starting to show. And then also, and that's what played into him. You know, so
Mhm.
and that's what I said. And also at the same time, he was overpaid. He was overpaid. You pay for what a guy's going to do in the future, not for what they've done in the past.
Mm,
So
yup.
the Celtics, and I thought the Celtics kind of rushed that deal. Anyways, I wasn't a big fan of the Kemba Walker. I love Kemba Walker. Like, don't get me wrong.
I do.
Like,
Don't get me wrong either. Yep.
but I
Yep.
but I didn't think he was the right fit, the right kind of guard with that
Exactly.
Celtics team. I thought he would have been
Right.
better served playing with a team like the Los Angeles Lakers.
Mm,
Playing with a team like Kawhi Leonard. With the Clippers. I think
mm,
his game fits more of those guys because he's a guy that can handle the
yep.
ball, get his own bucket, get his points, and he's
Mm,
consistent. Now he doesn't shade away from big moments. Don't get it wrong. He doesn't fade away from big moments. He just hasn't had the healthy
mm,
seasons that it has been. This is a
yep.
guy. He's a big time player, and I think Kimber Walker on the Knicks, Kimber Walker
Mm,
on the, which I don't really think he should go to the Knicks because I think if he goes to the Knicks, he'll be kind of in a similar spot.
oh,
A good playoff team, but not that great. I think a team
mm.
that he should go to is like a team like the Clippers, team like the Lakers. Teams
Even
that
even the
give him
Heat.
that extra piece.
I mean,
The Heat,
even the Heat. Yep. Yep.
yeah,
But
the
he
Heat.
made
I think he could do a
Kimball.
lot with the Heat. I
Yeah.
think if he goes
Kimber.
to the Heat, they're
Yep.
top four. They're top four seed in the East.
Yep.
Depending on what they
Because
would have to give up, they would be a
mhm,
top four seed in the East.
yep.
Because
Yeah.
they're
Because yeah.
they're
Because Kimball Walker is he's a good player. He made noise when he was in Charlotte, putting up
yeah,
40 season high 50-point games. But he just like you said, he just don't fit in with the Celtics,
yep.
which is
And
why I
also,
say you gotta let him go.
think you got to let him go. I think you're just letting him go because you're trying to get a new look. You're trying to maximize Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. And I don't think Kemba Walker maximizes Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. I think you need a more of a. I think with Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, you need a point guard. You need a guard that's big,
Mm,
but they can facilitate and they can shoot and they can
mm.
get their own bucket.
And
So
get
when you
teammates involved.
yeah, you need a guy like Lonzo Ball's the first guy that comes to mind. That's who I would like for the Celtics to go after and target.
Mm,
But the reason why I would like for him to go after is because he's a big guard. He
mm,
can facilitate. He can play make. He can get his own shot. You know,
mm.
he's gonna become a better half court offensive guard. But I think
Right,
it's what it is that he can be interchangeable. Like his first instinct is I'm trying to play make. Not his first
right,
instinct is hey I'm trying to get this bucket. You know,
right.
because if that's what's going on, yeah, you can put the I'm gonna put the ball in your hands, Lonzo. Tatum's gonna understand. Listen, this guy's trying to set me up for a bucket, so
Mm,
I'm gonna put the ball in his hands so that way he can decide when it's time to set me up for a bucket, set Brown up for a bucket. We don't have to worry about your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn, my turn. Because that's what's going on with the Celtics a lot. You have too much
yeah,
your turn, my turn at times, and you have a lot of ISO ball when they're not a real ISO team. You know,
right,
because you don't
right.
really have an ISO team. Is you got two guys that can just put the ball on the floor and go get whatever buckets they want, and then you got a bunch of
Yep.
guys that can hit shots. You know,
Isolation.
it's
Yep.
oh you double, we hit, he passes, we shoot. Their game is not really truly on that moment. There are guys that flow within the system, get shots in their spots, and then when they get the ball in their spots, they do their thing. So kind of ISO, but not 100% ISO.
Gotcha.
So let's just talk about before we wrap up today. Let's just talk about right now you have Indiana, Boston Celtics, Portland Trailblazers. Um, what team am I missing? Orlando Magic. Which
Hmm.
team is the best team on the market right now for a head coaching job? Which if you're a head coach, which team are you looking at?
I'm looking at the Boston Celtics, and here's why. The key words: Chauncey Billups. That's in the
Yep.
talks right now, and it's viral. It's viral right now on the internet. You grab a man like Chauncey Billups, especially when he had experience as a point guard in the league, phenomenal seasons. He's an NBA champ, 2004 NBA champion. This with this dude on the Celtics, he'll reform the team, turn them around, and mainly being that he's been a point guard himself, he'll go out and find you a legit point guard. That's my take on that.
You know, so you like Chauncey Billups. You like Chauncey
Chauncey
Billups.
Billups. Chauncey Billups. Yep.
Okay, I like
Yep.
him too. I like him too. I like him too. I
Yep.
like Chauncey Billups. So I think the Boston
And
Celtics is the best to gig
yep.
because the guys are locked in for multiple years, and they're the younger team with superstars, and it's not as much turmoil and change. So I
Mm-hmm.
think they're the best team. They're the best coaching job. I do
Mm-hmm.
think the Milwaukee Bucks, after this playoff series with the Bucks and the Nets, I do think Mike Budenholzer will be fired, and I do
He
think the
will.
Bucks will be looking for a
He
new
will.
head coach as well.
He will.
So I think between the
Mm-hmm.
Boston Celtics and the Milwaukee Bucks, depending on what your situation is, I think
Mm-hmm.
that's the team that you would say that's the right coach. Top
Mm-hmm.
five coaching candidates right now. I like Chauncey Billups. I like Sam Cassell. I think whichever one you choose, there's a couple other guys that are in that market. I think whatever guy you choose in terms of the coach, you need to have the right plan, the right team for that coach to be as successful as they can be. So I think if you get Chauncey Billups and I think you get Sam Cassell, I think you need to go find a true point guard that probably
Mm-hmm.
was either similar to them or the modern day version or is somebody because I think Chauncey Billups. I don't think a small point guard. I think a legit point guard with size. So I'm saying go get a point guard with size that knows how to be creative because he can get the best out of that. You gotta go get you got if you get a point if you get a former point guard head coach, you gotta go ask them what point guard do you want to coach? What point guard is gonna make your system happy? And let's take a look at this long list of point guards that you think can make your system run and they can make it happen. And you can coach them up, and that's kind of how you judge it because you're like, hey, if you can't coach the position you used to play, I mean, what are you really doing? Um, so that's my thing. That's my take on it. What's your thoughts on the coaches that I just named? Sam Cassell, Chauncey Billups. Do you like them?
I do. They have potential, and Sam Cassell is another good choice as well, especially when he's plays for the Celtics. That's the 2008 NBA champion. Back when he played with the big three, Garnett, Pierce, Rondo. So he would definitely be a another good potential pick, and it would be good to see him move on to higher levels from an assistant coach of the Hawks to the head coach in charge of the Celtics.
Oh, he's with the
So that's
Sixers.
another person to watch out for. Yep.
Oh yeah, Sam Cassell's with the Sixers.
Wait, I thought he was with. Oh, I thought because I was watching the game yesterday. I thought he was with the Hawks. I thought he was a coach for the Hawks.
Nah, he's with the
So it's the Sixers.
yeah, he's the Sixers. It's Doc Rivers
Okay,
now.
rephrase that. It would be good to see him move on from assistant coach from the Sixers to the head coach of
Yes.
the Celtics.
Yes, I think he could do it. I think he's got the experience. I think he's got the connection. I think he understands the game. I think
Mm-hmm.
he's a likable guy. I think Chauncey Billups is a likable guy. I think that's what you kind of
Yeah.
to have as a Celtics next head coach. You kind of have to have a guy that's likable, that's
Hmm.
motivating, that other guys want to play with, play for.
And knows what it
That's
takes to win. Yep.
yeah, knows what it takes to win. They
Yep.
got that proven experience. So you're like, all right, I can rock with you
Yep.
because you've been a player, you've been a
Hmm.
champion, you know how to get it done. So
Exactly.
that's something that they could do, and also having guys that's played with superstars. He
Hmm.
understand what it's like to be a superstar, what the job role. Sam Cassell, Hakeem Olajuwon, and a couple
Hmm.
other guys: Paul Pierce, Ray Allen, Kevin Garnett,
Hmm.
Chauncey Billups with Rasheed Wallace. Or no, he knows
Hmm.
what it's like to handle a guy like a Rasheed. He
Hmm.
knows what it's like to he's pretty much he's an assistant coach right now with the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. He's also played with some other key players, Melo, Carmelo Anthony. So this is a guy that's played with some talented guys and knows what it's like to help those guys get to their next level. So that's something that we would keep on the docket. Uh,
Yeah.
Other than that, thank you for talking sports. It's your main man Dominic, a guy over here, Anthony. Go check it out. Like, follow, subscribe. Please comment. Just let us know what you want to do. Anthony, any last words?
Like, subscribe, leave your comments down below. Keep them respectful as possible. Keep them alerts on for our upcoming videos that we have yet to drop. And also, soon we'll be creating social media pages for y'all to follow the links that we have yet to post on there. Hope you enjoyed this video. Peace and love.
Peace and love. Be safe, people.
All right.